Oof. Hi, here we are again. My name's Dan Barton, as you know, and today we're going to hopefully do a few more trees, as you can see over here. Um, I'll start wiring one, and my good friend will work on another to give me a hand and save a bit of time. And hopefully these will be split up into individual trees over the next few weeks and posted. I hope you'll enjoy the process. But as you can see, the trees are my usual absolute rubbish. Okay, they're terrible, and I'm going to see whether it's possible for me to make sense of them. This tree over here was given to me by a friend because he couldn't do anything with it. But as you can see, somebody obviously at some earlier date has done. You can see some wire marks in there. So obviously, with the tree like this, and its character, a narrow trunk with a reasonable taper, um, I have no choice but to try to make it into a literati style. And that's going to be a bit of fun. And what's interesting about literati is that it's not a design that you can, it's not a bonsai style that you can easily pre determine. I'll put the wire on and I'll just manipulate it. And the lines will be rather like the pencil lines that I might do if I'm doing a drawing of a literati. So really, I'll be drawing in 3 dimensions. So I'm going to shift this over to my workspace, which is over there, and we'll proceed. This piece of material is a Scots pine, as I mentioned. It was given to me by a friend who got so far with it and then just abandoned it because he didn't know how to go any further. I'm not sure I do either, but we'll see. And I'll just cut these weeds out first of all. Get rid of these horrible little things. Incidentally, these baskets, which are sometimes sold in aqua shops for planting pond plants, are very good when one has trees in training. They drain perfectly. One thing you can guarantee is that you're not going to have trees troubled by bad drainage. I've got to have this, Julian. I'm sorry, I've got to have that close up, okay? Right, so the first thing I'm going to do, incidentally, what I should say is it's always important when pre-working the bonsai to remove all of sort of last year's needles, get them out of the way. They're redundant, they're not necessary, and the thing about it is it will make the wiring a darn sight easier. So I'll pull these out. The other option, of course, is if one wanted to, you could always cut them like so and leave a tiny little bit left, okay? Because in the bottom of each pair of needles, there is a residual bud, and those buds might pop back at a later date so that you get more foliage developing. Right, but I'm not too fussed about that at the moment, so I'm just going to pull all of these out. Boom, boom, boom. Tedious process. I'm very lucky because I've asked one of my good friends, Malcolm Darwin, to help me with one or two of the other trees that I hope to work on in this series to do a little bit of pre-wiring to save a bit of time, so that all I'll have to do is pruning and manipulating of the branches. Right, so there's not a great deal of foliage or shoots on this, so it's going to be quite interesting. I haven't got a clue what I'm going to do with it, but we'll see. One of the things about the literati style is that it's one of the things that you don't actually need to have seriously obvious taper in the trunk. the whole thing is very linear. It's very lyrical, um, based on the old scroll drawings of the monks in the past in Japan, China, I should say. The Chinese really do like, with their Penjing uh, bonsai, which actually preceded the contemporary bonsai that we know of today from Japan. They used to go in for um, literati style a lot. Right. So, unfortunately, we had a lot of shower during the night, and this has made the foliage and everything wet. Incidentally, we may have some today, which is going to be a nuisance if it happens. We've got rain forecast, and of course, in this particular studio of mine, it hammers down on the roof like a drum. So that's that. This one here, quite a vigorous thing. Preparing a tree in the first instance, going through these rather boring, tedious tasks of removing all these old needles, um, does make a heck of a difference in the end when it comes to wiring the tree, and also makes life a lot easier. So, although it is tiresome having to do this, it is worth doing. It's just one of those silly little disciplines that needs to be followed. I'm doing this on all the branches, although there aren't many branches, and some of these will probably be cut off anyway. Right, that's probably enough. As you can see, this is fairly delicate branch, fairly stiff too. So I'm going to have to put some pretty strong wiring on it, maybe double up with two. I'll be using a 3.5 wire, I think. Um, yeah, get some of this out. But before I do so, I just want to protect the bark. So I'm going to use some of this stuff here. This is the things that plasterers use when they, which they put over the gap between the plaster boards before plastering. It's self-adhesive, and I think it works quite well. I'll just cut a few pieces off. I thought I had some scissors here somewhere. Where are my scissors? Here we are. So I just put some of this on. The traditional material that used to be used, particularly by the Japanese, was raffia, which was wetted. This, and then wrapped around the branch or trunk to protect it, and as it dries, it tightens, it shrinks and tightens. But as you can see, being self-adhesive, this makes life a lot easier. There we go. I'll put some more on. This series that we've been doing, the Something from Nothing series, has been really quite challenging, because most of the material has been abandoned or is deemed to be absolute waste of time. And that's what I now find so challenging. I've had a good innings over the last 50 years working on spectacular material all around the world at various conventions and workshops, etc. So now I've gone right back to square one, to the early days when I started bonsai and had absolute nothing in those days 50 years ago, where it's very difficult to get material, and anything bigger than thicker than your trunk was considered a big tree. You see how neat this is? It goes on really well, and it's so easy and so available. And incidentally, because it's perforated, some people actually cut pieces off like that and use it over the drainage holes in the bottom of the pots, instead of the perforated plastic mesh that you can buy for that purpose. Right, this is about enough. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is have a little look at the tree, and I'm going to start the wiring back here. As you can see, there's been some work done here by the previous owner, and yeah, God knows what I'm going to do with it. And I'll do something with this and probably have a double layer. So I'll work with this one first, get that wire, I'll just wire first, and then manipulate afterwards. So let's pull this out. Okay, it's always important to have a good anchor on the tree. So I'm going to start down here. It's down here. Bend this wire around and up so that it does really. Let me get my tweezers. I can bend that round and up. Right. Now this one will go around. Watch your eyes. Around. When wiring, ideally try to get a approximately 45-degree angle. If you have the wire wound too close, it's like a spring and it doesn't do the job. If you have the wire loops too long, again, it hasn't got the strength. So this is probably about the optimum angle to work to. Incidentally, when wiring pines, or for that matter, most species, it's always sensible to do it in the autumn, just as you're coming into the dormant season. That way, the branches will set in position and be less inclined to bite into the bark because it's dormant. If you do it at the beginning of the season, March, May, April sort of time, you're going to do it before the growing season. As the tree grows, obviously, the trunk swells, and that's how you get the biting in. So I'll cut that off there. Right. Now, I think I'm going to have to put a second wire on So pull some more out. This time I'm not going to go all the way down there because it's not going to be necessary. So if I put that here, take that round there, get that there and bend it back a bit on itself. That should anchor. Can't quite see what I'm doing here. Unfortunately now, with the arthritis in my hands, it's not that easy for me. So here we go, round again. And notice how I'm following in close contact with the first piece of wire. You don't want to go putting it in between. Keep it tightened together. And also, I always try to end up with the wire pointing upwards rather than downwards. It's easier, or it facilitates, it makes bending and positioning the branch easier, particularly the peripheral bits. Well, that's enough for that one. I'm going to put some wire now on this one here. Right. This is difficult. Quite stiff, this wire. A lot of people use copper wire, which have been well annealed. That means heating it to soften the wire, heating it up to 500 and about 50 degrees centigrade. Makes the wire red hot. And the best way to do that is in a straw fire. Lift that up, have it pointing upwards, and then just boom. Okay, so I'm going to just see what I can do with this, see whether we can bend it. Well, first of all, I'll start with this lower branch. And notice how I'm bouncing it a bit, okay? By doing that, it softens the underlying sapwood and the vascular bundles within to make it easier to bend, but at the same time wounding the sapwood a little, which as it grows in the following season will repair itself and so help facilitate the of stabilizing the position. Right, I'm going to have to take it off here because I can't control this thing wobbling around. Let's put that over here. We'll come back. Now, I'll take this back in a bit. I'm going to take it up and then down and try to get the wire on the convex side of the curve so that it holds it in the position that you want it to. So this is just the primary wiring. I'm not going to bother with this one, so we'll take it off. And these will be worked somehow. Let's get a little pad down there. I'll rewire those in a minute. Now this one from the top, we're going to take around, if I can. Whoa, lock him in. Take him around. You'll often hear people talking about the front of a tree. Where's the front of the tree? Well, it's behind the back. It's on the other side. Establish where the back is, and you've got the front. Now, that's a pretty silly statement. So I'm taking that up. I may have to use a tourniquet to draw those two together a bit. And then this chappy here, come down there. Now, by taking these branches down and then up, what I'm creating here now is a nice convex canopy and underneath concave. We don't want that chapped, so he can go. And here, as you can see, right, I'll call it a day for the moment. Just review the situation.
Okay, hang on.
That's better. Okay. Whether I use this or not, I don't know. I might even put this up here, make the crown of the tree up here somewhere. So I'll just do a little bit more wiring now on these smaller branches. And what wire have I got here? Like everything in this madhouse, it's all over the place. When wiring, it makes sense to cut a good long piece. Yes, I don't need this branch, so that can go. So I'll just put some wire on here, I think. I'll be the first person to admit that I'm far from the world's best wirer. Come on. I'm very lucky, as you can see in the background, having my good friend Malcolm help me. Oh, did you hear what he just said? My good friend? Oh, who's kidding? Yes, he's always been very, very helpful. So we're going to see what we could do with this. I'll take it down, get this nice bizarre twists and turns, and we're going to talk about bringing that around. I'm not 100% sure whether I really want this, but I'll put it in just for the time being anyway, and see how it goes. Okay, now I'm going to put some finer wire on some of these smaller branches. And it always makes sense to try to wire two branches right together rather than one at a time. So here again, I invariably get it wrong every time, but if I put that there and down here, I can then take that there. Little bud just there, you see? And then, as always, I have my wire pointing upwards. Get that off. And this is going to come around here and around there and around here. Carry on, 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 onto this chappy. This little tree will probably take a few years, 3 or 4 years, to back bud and build up enough foliage for me to make better sense and ability to arrange the branches. Right, do we want this chappy? I don't think so. So let's take it off. That one goes up, down, and always makes sense to have the buds pointing up towards the light. So we'll wire this, so that one will wire with this one, I think, and this one will wire with this one, I hope. Now, okay, so that one goes there. I'm going to take that around. I absolutely admire these guys that can always get it 100% right, because I can't. Their wiring is meticulous, but if the wiring does the job, that's got to be good enough. Right. This one here. and up. Right. And now these two. Hmm. I did it my way. There you go. Right. Now, just a quick little gander. For the non-English amongst us, gander means let's have a look, okay? Get back here, let's just take that around there, and take it up. And we'll try to get these chappies just put up. That there, you see, is a bit straight. So I'll put my finger underneath there, push it up. And take that round, a little bit of curve. And this one here, will probably come around there, up, and down, and up. I'm going to take this one around here, that one up there a bit more. No, don't like that. Put it there. Up. Go down a wee bit more. Then I'm just going to use my stool. This is my stool. Now I'm just going to trim off some of these downward pointing leaves, and by arranging the foliage, the needles, so that they're pointing up, always gives a better sense of maturity. And of course, horticulturally, it's better anyway, because it's facing the light, facing the sun. Ah, such fun. Oh, that's still a bit straight. So let's get up, compress it a bit, and take it in a bit. There, we're getting a nice little shape there. Well, it will be in time. And if you look at it from the top, you can see how they're all distributed. And I'm also making sense, as best I can, of the space. And notice I said space and not negative areas. I really detest that term, negative area, because there's no such thing as negative area. Space is space. Space always existed. It's the tree, it's the form, it's the object that invades it. Okay? Bear that in mind. So space is incredibly important in the design of bonsai. And the shapes that one creates by bordering the space is something that really does need to be considered. Just one of my little things. Right, now I'm going to wire these. One's down here. I don't think I need this chappy. That one can go. I'm going to leave that for a moment. I don't think I need it though. So we'll wire those two. Some of this here again. Take some of these needles out. Excuse me. I've got a drink somewhere. I just want to lean over and get my little sustenance. And clear my throat. Take a few more of these. Cut that. So I've got this one here now. It can be very tedious sometimes just watching a person wire and wire and wire, which is why I've got my good friend over there helping wire one of the trees, which will make it easier for me to just then manipulate it into position. The wire pointing upwards, and that was why I did that one. Now I'm going to wire these two little chappies as well. No, I'm not. I'm going to wire one. I'm going to take, yeah, right, I will wire the two. Just a little bit of wire for those two. Don't need much. Right. So I'll probably get a lot of negative feedback on this falling wiring, but there we go. That's how it is. I've never claimed to be a good wirer, just a humble bender of trees. That up and cut it. Okay, so take that up. This one can be cut off. Trim that off. That can go. This comes down here and up. And this one can come up there. And that one can come up there. That one can come round and then back and up. This can go down a bit more. And do I really want this, or should I just leave it at that? A bit horrible, isn't it? Just 1 minute. Let me just get a bit of tissue. I think I've got some over there. Just a moment. Excuse me. A neat way to decide whether or not you want to leave a branch or take it away. You can just mask it with a bit of tissue. or rag or whatever, and you can see, yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of this. I don't like it coming out of the concave side of that bend anyway. Yeah, it's distracting. It's taking you out of the design. So, right, let's take that out. I need something that will go through. Let's see. That's better. Now this is going to have to come round a bit more. Hey, you know what I didn't do, guys? I didn't photograph the tree to begin with when it was looking good. So I think I'm more or less done as much as I would like to at this point. And it's always very tricky to know which is the front of the tree, or as I prefer to say, the preferred viewing side. So I will be planting this in a round pot, a typical primitive style pot, which I believe the Japanese call nanban, but I'm not Japanese, so I stick with my English terms. Okay, and it looks quite interesting from about there. You see, but with literati style trees, they're invariably planted in very, very shallow pots, usually seemingly undersized pots. Because the tree is very light and lyrical in its character, you don't want, Dr. Martin Boots' pot, uh, which will be grossly distracting and overweight. So we keep it nice and simple, coupled with the fact that in a smaller container, you have less nutrients, etc., going up and in to the tree to give it an accelerated growth and development, because you want to maintain the lightness in the design as opposed to a mass. That's not what literati is about. So here again, you see, we have held a nice space in here, and I'm going to tip this over. We've held a nice space in here. Now, if you look at my hand, this one, that is an open space, that is a held space. So the space is so important. If I had that up there, you'd see it would escape, and it wouldn't be contained, and it wouldn't be integral with the design. So consideration of the spaces between the branches, thinking of the branches as purely the border, the perimeter of any given space, it is so, so, so important. And again, I say the same here. When you look at these spaces, they're mostly all held nicely. Okay, so I think we could probably call it a day on that. I'm going to hold the tree up against the white ground over here, and you'll be able to hopefully see it a bit better. It's getting heavy. And as always, I'd be very, very grateful if you would like, share, and subscribe.